encouragement to student ownership of learning and academic success. So we are waiting for her. Time is yours.
Thank you, Miss Nia. Okay, everybody, good morning. How are you? Yeah? Are you excited? You have maybe a couple of more sessions to go, and then you have received all complete package of this semester's teachers training program. And you've all done a wonderful job being good participants, being good listeners. So why don't you give a pat to yourself and pat the person next to you and say, "You're so cool." So if I say, "Sekolah anak terang teachers," you all say, "Woo!" Okay? Anak terang teachers. And if I say, SAT teachers, you say, "Oh yeah." Anak terang teachers. SAT teachers. Okay, so throughout this training program, you have already learned so many things. You should by now already have a better understanding what we're trying to achieve in your classrooms. What engagement is all about, yeah? First and foremost, make sure that wherever you're seated right now, make sure you have enough space for you to walk outside of your chair and go to the left and go to the right. Okay, so I want you to take a look at your area. Miss Noya has no problem, no issue for her. But some of you in the middle, you might have a problem. So what we're going to do quickly for this topic, we're going to do a little simulation where you're going to have to move to the left, yeah, or to the right based on the arrow that reflects your preferences when you teach. When you teach, I forgot I have to use this. When you teach, do you prefer beginning your class using storytelling or making a quiz? Come on, stand up. Move to the left or to the right. You can get out. Further, or this way. Out of your chair. Go ahead right now. 10 seconds. 1, 2. You cannot be in the middle because you're confused if you're in the middle. It's well, maybe you can actually if you're in the middle. Miss Anita cannot move anymore. You're already in the very furthest. Okay. All right. How about when when you're working with your students in the classroom, do you prefer giving them a written test or essay, or having them do a speech or storytelling? A speech, show and tell. Yeah, for young kids maybe, show and tell. Yeah, it's part of a speech. Where do you prefer? Okay, I still see. Good, okay. Some of you are stuck in the same chair. What happened? You cannot move? Gak bisa bergerak ya. And last but not least, would you rather encourage the students in the beginning of the class to sing or to paint? You like painting? You like to encourage your students to paint? Okay. Okay, that's wonderful. Thank you so much. Please come back to your chairs. So, like we have already learned from Miss Ibu Yunias, one of our speakers from Ukrida, the first session, we learned about differentiated learning, differentiated instructions, where we have to realize that students have different preferences. And we as teachers also have different preferences. You have preferences of how you start your lesson, how you deliver the process, of learning and how you end your lesson. Each of us have different preferences. But keep in mind that our students also have preferences. Yeah? I would like you to turn to the person next to you, 2 by 2. Just share quickly. What is student engagement according to you? What is student engagement? Go ahead. Talk to the person next to you. Ada yang nggak punya partner boleh angkat tangan. Kalau saya tanggung, Miss, saya bertiga. Make it 3. But if you have if you can make yourself with a pair, 2 by 2, please talk to the person next to you. Quickly, what is student engagement? 30 seconds only. 30 seconds, quick. Don't overthink. Do not overthink. We're not talking about the definition from the vocabulary or the dictionary, but what is student engagement? Okay. Miss Apro over there, I see you're working with Mr. Yondo and Mr. Agusman, right? You're discussing there. Can we have a microphone? So you guys can just share. What do you think engagement is? Even if you have not finished discussing it, it's okay. What is student engagement?
Alright, thank you so much, Ms. Miska, for the opportunity. So, as what have we discussed, student engagement is like the participation of the students to be active in the class, and then also they show us that they listen to us, they have the curiosity of the materials and so on.
Okay, thank you. Give a round of applause. Anak Terang teachers. All right. I would like to hear from the kindergarten teacher section over here. I can see this is the cluster of kindergarten teachers on this side, yeah? Yes, can we have Miss Intan, Miss Ririn, and Miss Femi, perhaps, and Miss Holden to stand up? What do you think student engagement is? What is it in your definition?
Yes, from my class, what students engagement from the students can get involved and participate from the activity, and then beside that also it's more excited, yeah, Miss, yeah.
Okay. Engage, involved,
Yes,
yeah,
involved.
and they're excited about the learning.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right. The special ed teachers, student engagement. What do you think student engagement is all about? Special education teachers. Yes, Miss Anita. You can stand up. You can come to the front. It's free. It's a free land, a free country.
Okay, from what we discussed, student engagement is the activities of between the teacher and the student when the student can engage, involve, and participate in the classroom and can follow the lesson and also can give a feedback of the lesson. And also, why is it important? Because student engagement is in bahasa mempengaruhi, influence the goals of teacher learning.
Okay, student engagement influences how the students are learning. Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. All right. Why is student engagement important? Is student engagement important? Nod your head if you agree. Okay. Why is it important? Why is student engagement important? We have Miss Adele and spontaneous. Yeah, I'm going to call spontaneous name. Miss Adele. You're like, Miss Adele and also Miss Rere. Why is it important to get student engagement when you are teaching? Why is this something you want to achieve? Why?
again, when we are talking about students' engagement, it's all about the students actively participate in learning, they can focus, they feel motivated. So I think that's the important. They're being engaged. So it means they're responsible of their learning.
So you want to achieve that, right? Okay, how about Ms. Rara? Do you want to add something to that?
Yeah, just the same with Ms. Andrews' idea. Students' engagement also can improve students' result in the end of the lesson, and we can get the best result from during the class teaching. Like that, Miss.
So when students are engaged, you get the best result from the students.
Yes.
Interesting. Okay, so now what does student engagement look like in your classroom? What does it look like? Describe. What does it look like? When you see students are engaged in your classroom, what are you seeing? What are you seeing in the classroom? Of a classroom where the students are engaged. Yes, Mr. Mario. Mr. Jerry.
Based on my experience teaching the standards classroom, so what I can see is the interaction and collaboration between the student and also teachers. So the task they are doing is they working together so that to find out the answer to the classroom.
So what I would, thank you so much, Mr. Jerry. Give a round of applause for Mr. Jerry, guys. So, Mr. Jerry, you're gonna sit down with the SMP teachers. If you are kindergarten teachers, preschool teachers, sit down in a circle, yeah? Feel free to move your chairs a little bit so that you can see each other's faces. I know this is not an ideal sitting arrangement, but try your best to group yourself in a small group. If there's 6 of you, maybe the person in front of you can turn around to the back so you can face the people behind you, yeah? So have maybe 6 people, 5 to 6 people in a group, or 7, yeah? Not more than 8 people. Talk about this. What does it look like in your classroom? If you are in an early childhood classroom, what does student engagement look like in your class? What about in the elementary school? If you're working with the early years of elementary school students, murid-murid dari kelas 1 sampai kelas 3, what's happening in your classroom? Yeah. If you're working with students in grade 4 until 6, what's happening in your classroom? What do you see? Yeah. What's happening if students are engaged? And for secondary teachers, please group yourselves in a group also of maybe 6 to 8 people and talk about it. And special ed teachers also. For maybe 1 minute, you can discuss quickly. 1 minute, 60 seconds, discuss it. Right? If you are a leader in the group, please make sure you notice teachers who are quiet and encourage them. No, encourage the quiet teachers to participate more. Yeah? Because a lot of times the quiet teachers remain quiet and we want teachers to be going out of the box, going out of the comfort zone. Discuss in groups. If you are not comfortable discussing in groups like this, how can we encourage students to have open discussions in your classroom? Because it starts from teachers. You do not have to be discussing all the levels, just your level. Only your level. You're talking about your level only. What does student engagement look like in your classroom?
To
that's 1 minute already. Is it, Miss Nia? Yes? Oh, not yet. Is it already 1 minute now? Okay. I am going to be walking around to your groups, and hopefully you have already decided who's going to just, share. Who's going to share? Is it?
We have been discussing for what the students' engagement looks like, especially in secondary level. Usually the students not going to do their own thing that actually not really related to the materials or the learning process. So they are going to follow, engage the whole learning process from the start until they finish, and they really are willing to be involved and participate in the whole learning process. For example, when it's time to listen to the teachers, they are going to listen attentively. And when it's time to discuss with their friends, they are going to discuss with their friends, for example, like that. And they are not going to be really quiet the whole sessions, but they can give their ideas, opinions, and also asking questions as well. Thank you so much, Michelle.
Thank you, Miss. Sounds like a wonderful class. Sounds like the ideal class we want to achieve, correct? We all want to achieve that. Thank you for participating in the group discussion. Yeah, thank you for getting a lot of information there. If you haven't been assigned to share your ideas, don't worry. There will be other areas in here where you're going to get to share and discuss together. Okay, but keep sitting where you are supposed to sit. Be seated. Okay, stay where with the group. Tetap dengan grupnya. Now, there's another question that I would like to ask you. How can we increase student engagement? How can we increase student engagement? That's something we want to achieve student engagement, but we also want to know how can we increase it. There are so many techniques, there are so many strategies for us to help ensure your students are engaged in your classroom. Yeah? One of them, can we have someone open one of the file? It's the first file. The article is titled Increasing Student Engagement. Boleh dibuka filenya, Mister? Oh, maaf. File yang pertama ya, the first file. If you look at the information, if you search the information about how can we increase student engagement, there's so many resources. But I will just like to share this this website right now, yeah? And it's from Teachers Common. Yeah, Teaching Commons from Stanford University. According to this article, one of the ways for us to increase student engagement is by asking open-ended questions. Number one. Senggol temannya. Pertanyaannya jangan yang yes and no melulu. Pertanyaannya jangan yang selalu sempit. When you ask questions, think about questions that are open-ended. Why? Why is this important? Exactly. We want to hear the students' ideas. We don't just want students to answer your question based on the textbook. Ingat, pertanyaan kita bukan pertanyaan yang supaya anak menjawab jawaban berdasarkan textbook. Kalau itu masih termasuk short-ended questions. Not just yes and no, but specific answer. But if it's an open-ended question, students' ideas and how they think will appear. And that's what you want to achieve. When you use open-ended questions, you're going to get to know how much knowledge does my student have? How much do they have learned about this topic? What experiences have they had on this particular topic? And then that question could be elaborate it, dig deeper and deeper, so that when you make your lesson plan can be tailored to what you have already known, what knowledge you know about your student. The second one is, boleh diturunkan ke bawah, Mister? Okay, turun ke bawah lagi. The second one is to stop right there. Okay, I'm sorry, going down again a little bit. Okay, next. Number 2 is encourage students to take more active roles in collaborative learning and teaching. What does that mean? What word or what phrase strikes out the most from this? Active role. You want students to have an active role in your learning. How do we achieve that? How can we make students an active role in learning? By having discussion, by asking them, what would you like to learn more about? Turn to the person next to you. Pernah nanya nggak ke anak-anak? Pernah nanya nggak ke muridmu? What do you want to learn more about? Ayo. Tanya. Nengok ke kiri, jangan ngatain saya. Tanya ke temannya. Have you asked your student what do they want to learn more about? Yeah. Next, another phrase that's also is very much highlighted here is collaborative learning. Why is collaborative learning so important? Because they get excited. Students love working together. I always see it in my observation when I visit your classrooms. Every time a teacher says, okay students, now we're going to work in group. Whoa, okay, all right. What happens? The atmosphere changes. Because now they say, okay, this is my turn now, teacher. Teacher, you step aside, calm down. Now it's my turn. Isn't that true? They love it. They love to engage with one another. Because we are humans. Humans love to, naturally, we love to engage, interact with other students, other people. Okay, let's bring down again. Because we're going to be talking about this. Have students role model explain, okay? Next, use activities, right there. Use activities that provide students with diverse range of engagement opportunities, yeah? So the exercises, the instructions you use cannot be monotone. You cannot use the same technique. Every day you come to the classroom, you put your textbook on the table. Itu anak-anak udah ngeliatin kita tuh. Setelah ini aku udah tahu nih, pasti dia akan maju ke tengah lagi. Setelah dia akan tanya, open your books please. Setelah ini aku udah tahu lagi nih. What? Your students are observing you. Students are observing you. They know every detail move you're going to make. For the last 6 months, you've been doing the same thing. But when you come to the classroom, suddenly you walk to the classroom, not engaging to the students, and then suddenly you bring something different. Not your textbook, you bring something to the table, you take things out, you start writing something. Students start to, what is my teacher going to be doing now? They want to know. Why? Because you're doing something different. You're doing something different. And you are getting their attention when you're doing something different. But if you're doing the same repetition day by day, students are smart. They will know exactly. Ada murid yang udah, Miss, kita buka buku ya. Halaman ini kan ya, Miss. Kenapa? Dia sudah mulai bisa membaca Anda, menerka. Yeah. So make sure you have different activities planned out. The lesson, the programs, variety is important. Say it to the person next to you. Variety. Come on. Come on, teachers. This is serious. This is serious. Monotone is the enemy. Yeah? We have to try different things. Okay, let's go back to the student engagement PowerPoint again. Back to the PowerPoint again. Now these articles will be shared to you later on for you to read, review. Yeah, I encourage all teachers in Anak Terang to read as much articles as possible. I'm not expecting you to read peer book, journal, no. Just articles. But updated articles, new articles that has been peer-reviewed, has been summarized, yeah, based on research and all. Okay, next. Research says student engagement reflects what students are doing and understanding about their learning. Yes? Do you agree? Yeah. So we were talking about engagement, and we all want to achieve engagement. Engagement, you can see it in your classroom when the students are happy doing something. Yeah? When they're understanding your lesson, they're excited. But student ownership takes that learning a step further. Satu langkah lebih lagi. When students own their learning, they know how to apply what they have learned in different contexts and take responsibility for their progress and success. Yeah? Okay. Jadi kalau dilihat dari diagram ini gambarannya. Student doing and student understanding ini masih dalam klasifikasi engagement. Waktu anak-anak Anda itu aktif mengerjakan sesuatu, ya, sibuk dengan tugas-tugas yang diberikan guru, ini masih kita klasifikasi engagement. And we want it. We want to achieve that. Yeah, we want to achieve that. We definitely want to get students excitement for learning. Yeah, we want them to be doing something. We want them to be understanding something. But one step further is owning it. What do you mean, Ms. Lisma? So, do they need a teacher at all? If they're owning the learning? What is our role in the classroom when students are owning their learning? So many answers I'm hearing. Facilitator, mentor, as an observer, depending, your answers will depend on what age group you are working with. Yeah, the word observer, yeah, a mentor, these all apply to the different age group we are working with. Tergantung muridnya. Yeah, for younger students, we're there to help. Yeah, we're there to observe, find out what they know, find out what their interests are. But when we work with older students, we want to become a mentor, we want to become a coach to them, we want to be a friend to them. Yeah, so that they can ask us. But we are there not to give them the answer, no, but we guide them to find the answer. There's a difference. Ada perbedaan. Yeah? So we're not giving them the answer immediately, but okay. We're gonna go next slide. So a shift from engagement to ownership is something that we want to achieve. We want to quickly see a video 7 things that happen when students own their learning. Ya, ini videonya singkat, boleh Mister videonya yang 7 things.
We know that it's important to move from compliance to student engagement, but what happens when we take it a step further and empower our students to own their learning? Well, here are 7 ideas. They fall in love with learning by finding joy in pursuing their passions and geeky interests. And in the process, they learn how to research and curate and communicate. They embrace a maker mindset as they walk through a design process and launch their work to the world. They develop iterative thinking, viewing mistakes as a chance to learn. And this leads to a shift from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset. They become self-starters, exploring new frontiers, asking hard questions, and trying new things. They become problem solvers and systems thinkers, but they also challenge the system as hackers who think divergently and rewrite the rules. They become architects of their own learning, engaging in project management and collaboration. A.J. Giuliani puts it this way: our job is not to prepare students for something. Our job is to help students prepare themselves for anything. In other words, when we empower our students, they are able to own their learning forever.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Sumarno. A short video, but yeah, it's important to take a look at this process, bigger than what we normally think of ourselves as a teacher. We're not just, sharing knowledge to them, but we are actually preparing them to become individuals who learn more things, who create things one day, yeah, and to decide where they want to go. Yeah, I just this morning I came a little bit late because I have to take my son's progress report in the school, and so one way of him doing his student-led conference, ya di sana juga ada student-led conference seperti di sini, is that he was giving me presentation about himself. First slide, he told me what has he been learning in school for the past 3 months. And then the next slide, he shared to us what are some things he wants to learn more about. And then he presented also a slide where it says what I have to do in order to reach my goals. What work, what actions should I do, what I have to do in order to reach my goals, my targets. And when I saw that, I realized that kids need to be prepared so that they are the ones making the decisions. Yeah? So you might be questioning me, what about for young children? I'm working with elementary school students. Some of them, I don't think they know how to make decisions yet about what they want to learn. Is it true? Mr. Rere, you strongly disagree. Do you want to share why? What do you think? Mr. Rere, can we have the microphone for Mr. Rere?
Alright, thank you, Ms. Desma. Actually, even though they are younger learners, they already know what they want to do, but sometimes they don't know the specific one. So the why the teachers will help them to find what's the specific. Actually, they know, like if we just ask, what do you want in the end of the semester? They know, I want to have 100 scores like that. And then as a teacher, we have a role to them. Like we will say, oh, you are talented in this one, so maybe you can achieve more in this aspect. Maybe in this aspect you can do a big effort because you have many challenges in here like that. Thank you, Miss.
Thank you, Miss Rere. Wow, Amazing. Thank you for the approach you used, how you communicated to your students. And it becomes a discussion between you and the student. It's no longer the teacher's curriculum. It's no longer the teacher's lesson plan. But it's a curriculum that you and the student are working together, co-writing or co-planning what they want to achieve. And that's why the word facilitator is popular among teachers. Because we are facilitators, we are not just guidance, directing them where to go, but we are facilitating them to reach where they want to go. Yeah? So does this apply also student ownership for learning to younger students? Student ownership for their academic success. A big part of student ownership is taking the initiative to better yourself, said McLeese, is one student. Jadi ada satu murid ditanya, apa sih gitu ya, tanggung jawab dari seorang guru. Yeah, what is the responsibility, the role of a teacher in order for their students to have ownership of their learning? Yeah. Well, according to some students, is that they want their teachers to help them to find a way to become a better person. Yeah? A big part of a student's ownership is taking the initiative to better yourself. That is the student wanting to do better, wanting to improve, and wanting to learn. Not because the teacher said, you gotta study this. We're having a test. We're gonna have a quiz. We're gonna have a semester test. I have to give a score for you. Yeah, your book report is coming. No, but it's about finding out. When you get a test, when you give the test to them, hasilnya kita duduk bersama dengan dia. Terus kita tanya, so Michael, I see you got 67 on your test. Are you happy about your test score? Asking them. Are you satisfied with the result you got? Listening to them. And when they say, I'm not happy with my test score, Miss. Why? I know I can do better. I believe you could do better. I know you're smart. But what do you need to do in order for you to reach a better score in the next test? I think I have to study more. Yeah? So when they start owning responsibility, to have to learn, to take time to study, yeah? Bahkan anak saya juga ditanya, what do you have to do in order to reach better math scores? Yeah? You got a bad score in your previous math score. What do you have to do? What is your commitment? Gurunya tanya. My commitment is to study 30 minutes after school, Monday to Friday. Who made the decision? Not the teacher, but the student himself. And when you shift from student engagement to student ownership for their learning, then something happens. Because the motivation now starts from them, not from the teacher. Yeah? But going back to the same question again, is this applicable for young children? Yeah? Is this applicable for young children? How about in preschool? Apakah masih bisa diaplikasikan? Keep that question in mind first, okay? Did I go fast too much? Kecepatan nggak tadi, Mister? Oh, sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. We were doing this both, Mr. Sumarno. Okay, what does student ownership mean to students? when students were asked the question to them, how do you want your teachers to help you so that you become the owner of your learning? They begin to answer some of these questions. We want teachers to set clear expectations. So in the beginning of the classroom, you're not just saying, okay, good morning, everybody. In the beginning of the year, we're going to be learning math. And this is our textbook. We have 7 units for the year. Semester 1, we're going to be learning about Unit 1 until Unit 3 or Unit 4. Semester 2, we're going to go to Unit 5 until Unit 7. No. It's really finding out from the students and letting them know what are the expectations. I'm very privileged and honored to have the opportunity to teach public speaking, right now. And when I came in, it's already in the middle of the semester, almost the end of the semester, almost the first semester. Mr. Indra had taken that class before. So when I came in, what I had to do was ensure the students know what was expected. In this class, you all will have, setelah kita jelasin apa itu public speaking, ABC, what, when, where, who, everything, how, for one session. The second session, we talked about what were some of their, the objectives, the things that they have to do, tanggung jawabnya in public speaking class. Directly to the point. You have 3 things you have to do in order to finish public speaking class. The first one is you'll have to do morning announcement. The second one, you have to do an MC job. Number 3, you have to do a speech, 10-minute speech before the end of the school year. Miss Wisma, 10-minute speech? I don't think I can do it. I think I can only do 3 minutes or 5 minutes, Miss. How can I make? I said, yep, 10-minute speech. And you're gonna figure out how. You're gonna figure out how to do it. But what about the topics? There's so many topics. Well, we have options. Give choices. These are the options. You want to choose a topic about inspiring, motivating, or do you want to sell something? You want to sell a product? Bahasanya apa kalau itu? There's a word for it. Why am I forgetting it? Influencing, influencing, So they have to choose. Are you going to deliver a topic to inspire people, to motivate people, or to share informative topic, the latest new coolest car by Hyundai, and they're gonna have to sell it to me. Mereka harus menjualnya ke saya, karena saya mendengarnya. Okay, tell me more about the car. What are the features? One student, Oscar, I don't know who is the teacher of Oscar, he said, Miss, I want to talk about a new restaurant opened up. Where is this restaurant? Well, they have many branches, he said. One in Bali, one in Jakarta. You know so much about this hotel. Are you the future owner of the restaurant? But they all want to talk about something, but in the beginning, set clear expectations. Nanti yang harus dicapai anak-anak apa sih dari pelajaran itu? You're gonna have to pass this class with a minimum of score. What? Kalau buat anak-anak besar, we have 2 essays you have to do. You have to do a community service, 12-hour community service in Anak Terang School, because one of our core values is socially responsible. Explain from the beginning so that the students know what they have to aim, what they have to look for. Provide positive feedback. Miss, what do you think about this one? Okay, good. Good job. Okay. What feedback? you tired of giving feedback to your students? Ya Miss, capek ngejawabin murid selalu kalau saya memuji setiap anak-anak. Akhirnya saya memakai satu kata yang berhasil. Good job, 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 good job to everybody. Huh? Yeah. What kind of feedback are we giving to our students? Do you want to motivate them? Do you want them to do better? But how can you give what kind of feedback? If you want them to do better, your feedback has to be specific. I believe you could do better than this, honey. I know you have to study harder, but if you need my help, I'll be there to guide you after class. What kind of feedback? I'm so proud because you improved your score from 5.5 to 5.7. I'm so proud of you. I know you work so hard. I know. And I know you have determination. I know you can get to 7.5. We have 2 months to study together. So what kind of feedback are you giving to your student? Ya? Nggak boleh malas memberi feedback yang istilahnya tuh feedbacknya tuh yang genuine buat setiap anak. Yang khusus buat setiap anak. Ya, nggak mungkin sama. Incorporate project-based learning. We're doing this already, ya. And then change it up. Tadi di awal sudah disampaikan. Change it up. Do things that's different. Do things that's different. Ya, mungkin dimulai dengan sesuatu yang berbeda atau pembelajarannya dan sebagainya, ya, yang berbeda. Okay. Developing responsible and autonomous students. Autonomous, apanya artinya ini? What is autonomous? Why does it have to do anything with students? Anybody know? Student have the authority, autonomi ya, dari kata otonomi. Otonomi itu apa bahasa Indonesianya? Kebebasan untuk memilih atau menentukan sesuatu. Kebebasan untuk memilih atau menentukan sesuatu, otonomi, ya. And then students' voice. Why is students' voice so important? Because it's about their learning. Why do we have to incorporate students' voice into the planning? Because it's for themselves. The learning that they're doing in the classroom is not for the teachers. It's for them. So we have to make them realize and become more aware that what you're doing, what you're learning is for you, for your future, for what goal you want to reach 5 years from now or 10 years from now. Yeah? Okay. Open the article on developing responsible and autonomous growth. Okay. Mr. Marno boleh bantu, ada artikel yang perlu dibuka dengan judul Developing Responsible and Autonomous Students. Ya, nanti link terhadap artikel tersebut juga di sharingkan. Ya, ini. Okay, it's from the American Psychological Association. Based on this article. This is a website actually, it's a module, how to develop students having ownership for their learning, ya. Boleh lihat yang inspiring story, Mister, ada pilihannya tadi, an inspirational story, yang ketiga di atas, ya. Ya. The name of the teacher, the name of the researcher, bukan teacher, ini researcher, seorang researcher, dia sering membuat jurnal-jurnal, juga ada beberapa buku-buku dia dari Barbara McCombs, PhD. Dia mengunjungi sebuah distrik sekolah di daerah Colorado, di mana itu dikenal dengan julukannya nih, sekolah dengan murid-murid susah gitu ditangani, berat, kelas berat gitu, kelas berat, sulit ditangani, sulit diajarkan. Jadi yang dia waktu dia berkunjung, dia melihat memang di hallway ada yang berkelahi, gitu ya. Dia melewati anak sedang berkelahi. Di sebelah sini ada yang rowdy itu kayak berisik gaduh gitu ya, teriak-teriakan. Dia lewati lagi hallway. Sampai dia masuk ke satu kelas di mana dia harus observasi di kelas tersebut, dan dia masuk ke ruangan, dia lihat ruangannya itu kosong, tidak ada gurunya. Tapi muridnya satu persatu berbaris masuk ke dalam kelas itu, menaruh buku mereka. Lalu Barbara McCombs ini bingung, ini gurunya mana? Kok anak-anaknya masuk ke kelas udah berbaris sendiri, tertib, tidak sesuai dengan apa yang saya bayangkan. Gitu. Di luar sana ada peperangan terjadi gitu ya di hallway, tapi kok di ruangan ini kok adem, tenang. Anak-anaknya masuk, tiba-tiba langsung ke satu sudut di mana di situ ada semacam kayak binder ya, berisikan binder milik masing-masing murid. Jadi anak-anaknya datang ke rak itu, mengambil bindernya, dan mereka langsung kembali ke kursinya masing-masing tanpa gaduh, duduk dan membuka bindernya dan mengambil salah satu kertas dari dalam bindernya dan mulai mengerjakannya dengan tenang. Nah, researcher ini bingung, dia bingung, ini kok bisa anak-anaknya seperti sudah terkontrol, memahami aturan main, gurunya kemana? Lalu gak lama kemudian ada satu murid jalan ke belakang kelas. Dia menghampiri salah satu rak buku, dan baru di situ Barbara menyadari gurunya ada di situ sedang jongkok, sedang mencari-cari beberapa referensi buku. Anaknya menanyakan sesuatu, lalu gurunya menjawab sesuatu, anaknya kembali lagi ke kursinya dan mengerjakan soal. Jadi apa yang dibayangkan oleh Barbara ini tidak seperti yang dibayangkan dia tuh kelasnya akan sulit nih, anak-anaknya semua rata-rata seperti kelas-kelas yang bagaimana begitu ya. Tapi di kelas ini nggak seperti itu. Kalau dibilang ini kelasnya ini kelas berat, sekolah anak-anaknya ini berat-berat, nggak bisa diatur, nggak bisa ditangani. Tapi ini kok berbeda. Dia penasaran, dia menunggu sampai kelasnya berakhir, and then she came to the teacher and asked. It was a male teacher, gurunya pria. Can you tell me, what did you do to the students? Your students are so organized. They know exactly what to do. And there was no behavior problems. The students were disciplined. Throughout the entire class, 1 hour, it's like a miracle. Dia bilang gitu ke gurunya. Gurunya cuma nyantai bilang, well, Barbara, what I did was just simply told them from the beginning of the class, in the beginning of the school year, I told them, this is your class. You decide how you're going to do this class. As long as you reach your goals, we have goal A, B, C. We have to reach. But how you do it, how you're going to complete it, it's entirely up to you. The teacher used that technique, and somehow that technique worked. Kira-kira kenapa? Discuss it. Why do you think it works? Why do you think it works? Kok bisa? Dan ini anak-anak kelas, anak SD, third graders. If I'm not wrong, I think it's a 3rd grader or 4th grader, elementary school students. Yeah. Why does it work for his class? Anybody want to maybe share your thoughts on this? Share your thoughts? Anybody? Yes, Mr. Jerry. Anybody else raising your hand? Siapa lagi, please? Maybe from Miss Lasma's group. Anybody from the back there? I want to hear your voice over there. Hi, Miss Mutiara, Miss Betty, Miss Lasma. Anybody want to share? Miss Lasma, maybe? Yeah? Maybe you can stand up after Mr. Jerry, Miss Lasma. And then over here, maybe Miss Dina? Miss Dina, ready to share your ideas? Alright. Yeah. Okay, 3 people. Mr. Jerry, Miss Lasma, and then Miss Dina.
Alright, so from our point of view, start from the beginning, the teacher already set clear expectation for the students. So the students know what to do and they have expectation to be reached. And then the second one is the teacher already given the free responsibility to the student so that the student take the action based on the expectation that they need, something like that.
Thank you, Mr. Jerry. Thank you. Yeah, Miss Lasma, what do you think?
All right.
Do you agree, or do you have something to add?
Yeah, I do agree with Mr. Jerry for that he has shared already, and we also during the discussion before we find out the classroom, the same situation like before that I have experience also in my classroom. We struggle in the first semester that we know the students' characteristic and behavior need to support more how to show the positive behavior to respect all the teacher and among the friends. So the first before that Mr. Jerry, we get to know all the student characteristic and then just make some notes. What should we improve more? Maybe set the classroom specifically, and we discuss with all the students what to do in the classroom and set the expectation in the classroom.
Thank you, Miss Lasma. Thank you. Please give her support to all the ones who already answered, and Miss Dina also.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity, Mr. Lisma. Actually, that is one of our wish in the classroom. The students know exactly what things that they have to do. Maybe the teacher in the classroom, in the article, have set the clear expectation before the lessons.
Set clear expectation.
And then the teacher have mentioned or the student follow the rules consistently, and maybe the teacher also give the as a role model too. So the
role model.
Yeah, so the students act like a teacher too, like as a role model. Teacher as a role model.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. I want to add one more word. Thank you, Mr. Jerry, Ms. Lasma, Ms. Dina gave a very, insightful thought on this. Yeah. One more word that also is important in this type of classroom where students already have ownership. Another thing as teacher have to give is trust. You have to trust your students. Yeah, because if you give trust to them and you believe, I'm going to give this trust to you and I believe you're going to hold on to it. Keep this trust that you are responsible. You're going to be on task. Yeah? You know what you have to do. If you are stuck, this is what you need to do. I give you the guidelines, but you have to reach this goal. Once you have that good foundation, trust, yeah, and the ability to pass that to the student, they will become responsible student. They will want to make the teacher, proud of them, and they don't want to let you down. Yeah? A lot of your students, especially early grade students, they love to meet where you are. They love to make you happy. Yeah? But research says that by the time students enter grades 3 and above, some students, the motivation to learn becomes to decline. And one of the reasons is because perhaps we're not trusting them enough. We want them to always be following us. We want them to always just follow, do this. This is what you gotta do, this. But then there's no room of autonomy. There's not enough room for them to be given the responsibility to make decision. And that's why there's a decline there. Tapi itu bukan hanya di sini, di mana-mana. They say that. Preschool, kindergarten, grade 1, excitement tinggi banget dari anak-anak belajar. They love going to school, they love learning, they love showing up to the classroom. But once they reach grades 3, grades 4, it doesn't mean it went down all the way down, but there's a decline. There's a decline. And that's why teachers who are teaching at this grade level, this is the challenging part. How can you make the classroom more engaging, making the students feel like they own it. This is your learning, not mine. Your learning. Yeah? Okay, we're gonna see 2 videos, and after that we're going to be going into groups doing something together. 2 videos langsung aja back and back. Ya, back and forth gitu ya langsung. Strategies. Sorry. Can we go to the slide? Next slide. Yep. We're gonna see 2 videos, Mr. Sumarno. The first one is encouraging students to own their academic growth. Dan langsung dilanjuti dengan video berikutnya. All students can own.
I'm going
their
to
learning.
call you a table at a time to go get your binders.
This is a second grade, class 2.
My students have more ownership of their own learning. There's a lot of research that kids, when they can track their own progress, that they have more ownership in it. They're not just taking a random test to get a score for somebody else. It now belongs to them instead of all the grown-ups in the world.
Here at Bourbon Morgan STEM Academy, we are a K-5 school, and we have a very
School itu elementary ya, dari kindergarten ke kelas 5. Di sana SD sampai kelas 5.
Let's have a conversation about where you should be and where you are.
We get them excited about where they're at, where they want to go, setting those goals, and then the process that it takes to get there.
All right, flip your page to the next page. And you are on your reading fluency. I think everyone, give yourselves a big pat on the back. When we go through our learning binders, the kids track all kinds of things in there. Every week they grab their spelling test. Anytime we take the state reading test, they're grabbing those scores in there.
A learning binder is what we already learned and what we're going to learn. It's kind of like graphing stuff and goals.
We also graph things like their stamina. What does stamina mean?
Diukur juga
How long can you focus?
seberapa banyak mereka bisa fokus dalam pelajaran, berapa lama,
without talking to a friend or messing around.
dan setiap anak
Here's your
punya
new stamina scores to
skornya
graph.
berbeda-beda. Ada yang
Our goal
butuh 15 menit,
is to be at
ada yang 30 Tapi ini bukan untuk perbandingan, tapi untuk memotivasi anaknya sendiri supaya lebih lagi ke depannya.
Second section of the data binder is all about goal setting. So we sit down in the fall and we review what goals do you want to set, and then we revisit again in the winter and again in the spring. It's time to start looking at our data.
Reading stamina, berapa lama mereka bisa
Who
membaca?
can tell me what is your goal each week in word study?
It's exciting.
10 menit, 15 menit, 20 menit.
You are trying to get past the gray spots.
Talking about where they're trying to get and really understanding what that means and why they're learning it.
It's great that we do goal setting and data collecting at the K1 level here, so that by the time they are in 4th and 5th grade, their goal setting is very complex and it's very rigorous. Wow, there's been some great growth.
Nah, ini satu sistem yang digunakan di sekolah ini ya, di lokasi di Idaho, di Indiana. Jadi menggunakan binder, di mana semua di track goal settingnya anak ada track. Ya. Nah, video kedua kita lihat dari sekolah lain, dari state lain menggunakan PDSA, plan, do, study, and act. Menggunakan 4 skema ini sebagai goal setting.
My name is Gina Sherman. I'm a 3rd grade teacher in the Estacada School District. This is my first year teaching.
Dan ini diaplikasikan bukan hanya di 3rd grade, 2nd grade, SMP, SMA, bahkan sampai kuliah pun ini bisa dilakukan. Goal setting.
So when my daughter would come home from school, she was really aware of exactly what she was working on. She was a 2nd grader, so for a 2nd grader to know this is where I'm at, this is my goal, this is what I'm working for, that's very impressive.
What do you think we should work on with our practice?
So when I joined the Estacada School District, they gave us a lot of support in learning about PDSAs and continuous improvement.
Plan, do, study,
is making a plan for your class of something that you want to work on.
Plan,
Use it for
do,
anything
study,
in your
act.
academic. So the first key is just making a plan. This is what we want to do. This is what we're wanting to work towards and see.
Jadi lebih spesifik ya, saya mau berapa menit, berapa lama mencapai target baru dan sebagainya itu dicantumkan.
Study is where we keep track of our data, we report our improvement, what we're doing. The act section is where we look at that each week in my classroom. What have we been doing? What is the
Nah, ini bisa digunakan untuk juga goal behavior ya, bukan hanya reading ya, or writing goals, math goals, tapi juga mungkin behavior ya, regulasi dan sebagainya.
When we do our plan, do, study, act, we make sure that we all agree on our plan, and then we agree on what we're going to do to improve what we're doing for it, and then we set our goal and we start working towards it.
Dia menggunakan istilah we plan, we work together. Di sini we ini murid dengan gurunya menentukan bersama.
It means that you're on task for 3 and you're like right on track, and you don't need to go higher or lower. You're right there. And the 2 means that you need to work a little harder, and it means you're in a good place, but you just need to get that 3 to be right on the track. Right now, one of the goals that I'm working on is getting 2 of my really hard math tests done, and another goal that I've been really working on since the beginning here is make sure I've done all good scores in all of my tests, because we're doing a state test in a few weeks. The strategies that are making a difference for me in math are...
Ini anak pintar banget ya, di wawancara udah segitu detail menjelaskan dia goalnya mau kemana, apa yang dia harus improve.
It wasn't hard for me to learn PDSA.
Then this is exactly what we want to achieve.
My teacher
Students know exactly where they want to go, what they want to learn, how they want to improve.
I think at first when I heard about PDSA, even with having the time carved out in our schedule to work on data, I thought, oh my gosh, when am I going to make these posters? When am I going to get all of this done? Initially, it might seem like, oh, here's another thing to do, but once you get started, it's so easy.
Nah, kebetulan ini guru matematika yang mengajar fraction, pecahan. Tapi dipakai sistem ini, PDSA, plan, do, study, act.
that our scores were just really low mastery on that. And so we made a PDSA and I shared with them.
Jadi bayangkan bagaimana metacognition anak-anak dilatih. Memikirkan apa yang mereka akan pelajari, apa yang mereka harus lakukan untuk mencapai target-target dari goal pelajaran itu.
So that was their idea. Like, let's see an example. We put that up on the board. The second week, we doubled our scores of how many people had a 3. The third week, we went up a little higher. We've now tripled how many people get 3s. It's been amazing to see that.
So the teacher is just saying, using this strategy for her class, it worked.
We see actual growth. And I told my
There's an actual growth.
It's on walls, like we can see it. There's nothing, we don't need to be nervous about showing people what we're doing because here it is, look at our wall and see how much you've improved. So it's worth the time that it takes, but really, it's really not that much.
Thank you. Yeah, alright. Thank you, Mister. Kita lanjut ke slide berikutnya. Mr. Sumarno, thank you ya. Ini saya presentasinya mundar mandir dari slide presentation ke beberapa hal yang di luar dari ininya. Thank you, Mr. Sumarno. Kasih tepuk tangan buat Mr. Sumarno, guys, everyone. Okay. So group task right now. Since you've already seen 2 different types of strategies that you can apply in order to develop student ownership in the classroom. And remember, there are so many strategies you can try. So many strategies you can try that you can also invent in order to make sure your students feel that they're owning the learning. They're owning the learning. So, what you're going to be doing in a group task, there is already, tolong dibagi dalam satu kelompok, jangan banyak begini, pecah lagi, jadi 2, satu kelompok bisa jadi 2. Yeah, maximum 6 people. There are 12 of these papers, so each group get one product. Maybe if we have time, you can share it later on. Waktu lagi jam makan siang, boleh di-share what you've already made. Yeah, come on up, who's ready? Come on, Miss Bora's group, time is up already. Miss, over there, Miss Michelle, come on, we need all the others to please bring it to the front. Bring it to the front. All right, come on, everyone. Who else? Wonderful. Yay. I like it. I can demonstrate my idea and understand what I've learned. Yeah? Okay, that's the name. I can follow all instructions. I can implement it in my real life. Yeah? How about here? Yeah? I am a responsible student. We are proactive. We respect others. And we can collaborate with others. It's up to us to choose. Yes. Jadi istilah free choice itu bukan kaget-kagetan yang muncul begitu saja. Sebenarnya free choice itu adalah satu media untuk memastikan anak-anak punya banyak suara. Their voices matter. Characteristics of ownership students: self-motivated, curiosity, resilient, independent, confident, goal-oriented, responsible, well-organized. I love this class. Even though we are different in this class, we swim into the flow of a fantastic learning. Confident, respect, kind, brave, okay. Independent and teamwork. Yes, I love that. Different fishes, ya. Ikannya beda-beda bentuknya. Students, ownership, responsible, interactive, confident, active learner. What is this? Full initiative, follow the rules, respect, and excited to learn. Give it up to the SSS team. Students who have ownership of their learning, they are responsible, they are self-motivated, they are leaders and problem solvers. Thank you! Oh, I love that. Student with ownership. I am confident, excited, talented, creative, disciplined, and organized, and responsible. I love it. Independent, confident, cheerful, enthusiastic, responsible, mindful, and disciplined. Wow. Tepuk tangan dulu dong. Excited, focused, curious, happy, energetic. We give you our opinions, what matters the most in your classroom. And we often say, let's shift more toward the student-centeredness. Yeah, benar ya, sering ya. Let's shift it toward the student-centeredness, not the teacher-centeredness. And this is something that we all struggle. Yeah, I'm also struggling with that because I love to be in control. Yeah, but when we want students to have ownership of their learning, this is going to be a partnership. Student with the teacher, not just the teacher as the main player. The main decision maker is not just the teacher. You need to work with the student. You need to listen and have excellent listening skills to them. Listen to your students and hear them out and find out what goals do they want to reach. And you're there to facilitate their growth and them reaching those goals. Yeah? So, thank you. Next slide. Next slide is the resources. I will be sharing the resources to you to read more on this. Apa yang dibagikan di dalam materi training ini suatu saat muncul lagi, ya. Suatu saat muncul lagi, diingatkan lagi pastinya supaya guru-guru menjadi guru-guru juga yang memiliki growth, ya, a growth teacher mindset. Okay, thank you for your attention, and I'll see you later. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr.